Hi, everybody. We just finished our stream about 2 hours ago and right back at it again because tectonic plates are just shifting and just the entire world is going crazy right now. So we're going to skip our introductions. Here are our names right over here. As the first big trade lands, Elias Lindholm is going to the Vancouver Canucks. He was acquired from the Calgary Flames in exchange for Andrei Kuzmenko. I just had this guy's name. Hunter, somebody want to say it?
Hunter Brustowich.
Brustowich. Okay, thank you. And Yanni Yurmo, and a first-round draft pick in 2024 and a conditional fourth.
Yeah.
So, guys, first things first, because we're waiting on word because Chris Tanev might be going in a separate deal. I'm going to flash up Lindholm's stats. Anthony, let me start with you first. What does this mean for Vancouver?
They're pushing their chips all in. I mean, this is a team that's one of the best teams in the National Hockey League. They score a boatload of goals, and they just got a guy who had previously put up 40 goals a couple of years ago. He's a Selke caliber. Yeah, he's a Selke caliber forward on top of that. So this is a great coup for the Vancouver Canucks. Like I said, they're all in now. And it's funny, Mark, just last year, January 30th of last year, they trade their captain, Bo Horvat, to the New York Islanders. Fast forward almost a year later, January 31st, this time around, they bring in a big name and trade for Elias Lindholm. So, how fast things change in a year. I'm surprised, fellas. I heard Vancouver like a little bit, but for Lindholm, but most of the smoke you heard was, Boston, Colorado, Rangers popped up a little bit over the last couple of days, but I didn't see him going to Vancouver, to be honest with you. So certainly surprised by it. And for Calgary, honestly, they're a team that's clearly retooling, and they get a guy in Kuzmenko who's under contract for another year. And I would assume the thought process for them is, hopefully he bounces back, fresh start. He could start playing like he did last year. But honestly, good deal for both sides. Elias Lindholm wasn't staying in Calgary. We all knew that. He was, UFA to be. We'll see if he extends in Vancouver. But I think my early kind of assessment is good deal for both sides. But surprised, though. Like I said, I didn't see Elias Lindholm going to the Vancouver Canucks.
Phil, your thoughts on this? What does this mean for Vancouver?
I mean, I really don't have anything else I could add to that at that point. Anthony kind of just covered everything. They're all in. And it's funny because this team came out of nowhere and decided that they were going to be a big-time contender. And a lot of things that we didn't expect to happen with this team ended up happening. The defense ended up being a lot better. The goaltending came back. They play a very quick transitional game, north-south, no BS. They play how we want the Rangers to play. They're a model franchise right now in terms of what they give you on ice. So I love this move for them. I think it's great. I think they got their guy. There's also word that Chris Tanev could end up going to Vancouver in another deal. And Vancouver's seriously going all in. They think that they have as good of a chance as anybody right now. And you go and you get a guy like Chris Tanev, you bring him in there, that's big. That's a big move for them, because that says we're serious. We think we have a shot to win it all. And the coach is very happy with the on-ice product. So Tocchet's a good coach. This is a good team. These are good moves. Vancouver is not to be trifled with.
Now, Anthony, you were mentioning the timing of this trade. A year ago was the Bo Horvat trade. And, we're about 5 weeks out from the trade deadline right now. How much does it shock you seeing this trade happening right now? But All-Star break, nothing's going on, bang.
I mean, it doesn't shock me too much, being that we saw a big trade last year on January 30th between the Canucks and the Islanders. Listen, I think a lot of teams don't want to get into the gamesmanship of waiting to the deadline and feeling each other out and kind of like waiting to see who blinks first, or another team steps in and gets the play that you wanted. So I think this is a case of the Canucks being aggressive. Obviously, we don't know how exactly it went down, but I would assume the Canucks let it be known that they're serious. They have serious interest in this player. And the Flames decided that this was an offer that they couldn't, pass up. And you got to remember, too, I think we all know the Canucks were shopping Kuzmenko. He was in Tocchet's doghouse. They wanted to move him, partially A, because he was underperforming, and then B, he's an RFA entering, next year's the last year of his deal. They have to, save cap space to re-sign Elias Pettersson. So they were looking to shed salary somehow, and getting his contract off the books next year is certainly a plus for them. So I think the fact that Calgary was able to take his Kuzmenko's salary was big. And that, again, they felt that it was the right move to make at this point. So not surprised that the trade went down. I mean, 5 weeks out at this point in the trade deadline season, it feels like, there's like at least a trade, maybe a week leading up to, the deadline. So can't imagine the guys over at TSN, got James Duthie, are happy that the biggest name is already off the board, but so be it. But good for the Canucks. Like you said, they're all in. They're going to be able to. Actually, I'm curious to see how Vegas responds now, because Vegas is one of the other big dogs out west. I wonder what they do to go from here to kind of counteract this. But if I'm the rest of the Pacific Division and some of these other contenders, Colorado certainly put on notice right now, because this was a big boy move.
I can think of two teams, and correct me on this one, Phil, that are kind of put on notice by this move, which is, you mentioned the Colorado Avalanche. Obviously, you're bringing in a guy, finished second in Selke voting 2 years ago. You're saying Nate McKinnon and Connor McDavid, that guy's going to be on you every shift.
Oh, absolutely. And that, like I said, he goes and just fits right into what Vancouver does, the way that they want to play, the exact game that they want to play. They want to play that north-south, in-your-face, up-tempo, speed type game that Peter Laviolette wanted the Rangers to play. And it's worked out very, very well for them. They've played it all year. They were a tough game. The Rangers, beat them in overtime in Vancouver in November when they were playing well. And then Vancouver, you saw a couple of weeks back where they absolutely thrashed them at the Garden. Vancouver,
I was going to say waxed if you didn't.
Yeah, it's a great move for them. And yeah, it definitely does put a bit of pressure on Colorado and Edmonton, because now you have a great shutdown center, and Elias Pettersson is no slouch defensively himself.
No.
He's a decent defensive center. Is he a Selke caliber center? No, but he can match up against these other guys and play some good defense against them. So this is a big move for Vancouver to not only get an offensive center that can come in and slot in as their number 2 center, but he's a guy that's also a matchup center on top of that. So you bring him in, he can play all situations. He kills penalties. He's good for your power play. He's a good guy to have in the locker room. It just what happened in Calgary is just unfortunate. It's just everything being torn down, and a lot of guys in the mass exodus they had. I think the change of scenery is going to rejuvenate him, and he's going to be a hell of a pickup for them. But Anthony's right, though. They're able to get rid of Andrei Kuzmenko's salary. So now you're able to go and allocate that cap space to re-sign Elias Pettersson. And you get a couple of prospects and a first-round pick in the deal. This is a major win for Vancouver, even if they don't win the cup. Even if. Because they got the space, they got prospects, and they got rid of a guy who was a malcontent there that didn't fit in with the coach. I don't know how much better this could be for Vancouver and Calgary. I should say Calgary got the prospects and they added Kuzmenko. But, I mean, this deal is great for both sides, if you ask me. Great for both sides. Calgary got their prospects. They got their first rounder. And then they got a guy that they could re-sign, or they could even flip him. They could even flip him by the end of this trade deadline if they want to. So
Phil corrected himself. He didn't.
Yeah, I corrected myself.
Didn't get any
sorry.
prospects. You know, I just
Anthony, go ahead.
While you were going on, Phil, I went ahead on Cap Friendly and I went to next season and I looked at the Canucks roster. So, including the $4 million increase, the Canucks have $40 million of cap space. Only a roster size of 11, so certainly holds the plug. But $40 million allows them to give Elias Pettersson $11 million and technically re-sign Elias Lindholm for $8 million. So they have enough cap space to re-sign Lindholm, if that's any question. Again, $40 million, even with only having 11 guys on the roster, that's still enough to take care of business there with Pettersson and Lindholm.
That's amazing. And to think Jim Rutherford, we're about a year removed from him saying this team needed major surgery. And look at what they got going right now. Guys, I got to say that just from the Calgary angle, this proves exactly what we've kind of been saying all along. Regardless of how close they are, and they're sort of still in the playoff hunt, they're really not there. But they cannot afford another Johnny Gaudreau situation. And it's still kind of unfortunate that things haven't worked out with Jonathan Huberdeau, and said the right name this time, boys. And it's just like we got 60 of you right now in the queue watching. Thanks very much, everybody, for tuning into us late night. But it's they know they can't afford to do this, so they got to figure out what's going on with Noah Hannafin right now. Is he staying or is he going? If there's any doubt, you got to send him out somewhere, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, Noah Hannafin is definitely. I think he's going. I mean, this is going to start the exodus there. I mean, we all thought it was going to happen in the offseason, right? With these guys, Lindholm and Backlund. I mean, Backlund ended up staying, but
we heard that report a few weeks back that he was close to an extension, and then things started to change. But we haven't heard anything about that since.
No, I still think Hannafin's gone though. I think he's going to get traded by the deadline, and so is Tanev. Tanev's gone too. So. Listen, this Flames team, they're retooling. You know, Kuzmenko's a good option for him because, like Phil said, he could be flipped, or you could keep him for in the last year of his contract next year, and if he's producing, you try to re-sign him. So I think Calgary is about to have a lot of roster flexibility with the guys they're going to trade in the next month. But you know, I think for Calgary, it's a matter of.
Yeah, Anthony got it interrupted a little bit.
The worst part is he got right to the point. He was about to say what he was thinking.
Yeah. And then that ended up happening. But yeah,
and then that ended up happening.
I definitely agree that Hannafin and Tanev are going. It's just funny that we heard that report about Hannafin a few weeks back. And then we haven't heard anything about it since. And now it looks like more than likely Hannafin is probably gone as well. I can't see him staying. Like you said, if there's any doubt, move him. And then if he wants to come back, which I personally doubt he does, just sign him in the offseason at that point. So, but I do think that Tanev may end up being dealt to Vancouver as well. It might end up being a separate deal that gets finalized within maybe the next few days or something.
Phil, you had the work on Hunter. I forgot the pronunciation.
Rostowich. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
He's a third rounder from last year. He's third in the OHL in scoring, which is great. I mean, he's putting up some monster numbers. But some of the things I've heard about him think that some of the people, I should say, that have talked about him, saw some stuff online. Cam Robinson, who I follow, who's pretty good with prospects, thinks that his game might not translate to the next level. Could be the case, but I mean, you're getting a decent prospect, not a blue chip, but a decent prospect, and then you're getting Yoni Yomo, who's not really a big time prospect or anything. I don't think he's really on anybody's radar. Third rounder from 2020, so I mean, he's getting up there in age. This seems just kind of like a change of scenery, throw in type prospect and a first round pick, and then a conditional fourth. Both of those picks in this year, 2024. So Vancouver gave up a bit, but not as much as some people may have thought. I didn't think we were going to see a Brennan Othman or Gabriel Perreault type prospect, like a real blue chip type prospect in there to go the other way for a rental. You haven't seen a lot of those prospects dealt recently for players at the deadline, especially for rentals. I mean, because we haven't seen a lot of players with term dealt recently. So you're not going to see a lot of those blue chips go back for a guy like Lindholm. So I'm not surprised by that, but it seems like they gave up a decent prospect and then a middling to lower level prospect in addition to the picks.
I mean, guys, never mind looking at their forward unit, which, by the way, right now, if you go to Daily Faceoff, they updated and have Lindholm as the number one center, Pettersson on his left wing right now with Mikheyev. But you could look down the list. You go Pettersson, Miller, and then Lindholm. That's pretty serious. But never mind that. If they get Tanev, their defense then looks like Quinn Hughes and Philip Roenick, Ian Cole and Tyler Myers. And people forget they got Nikita Zadorov. And then you go Tanev on that bottom pairing with
Tanev was in Vancouver for years.
Yeah. So
I mean, Vancouver is definitely more than familiar with Chris Tanev. So this is definitely somebody that they would not mind having back, as he was a stalwart defenseman for them for years defensively.
This is a good point from Briz that the Canucks keep their best prospects in the deal too.
Yeah.
So this is not, there's nothing bad you could say about this deal for the Canucks. Like I said, they got the top player available. They gave up a first, but this is what teams do when they go all in, right? You trade your first round pick, you trade some other, maybe call them B prospects, in the case of Brunswich. But again, this is Vancouver. I think they look at it and feel as though they look at what happened with Vegas last year, and Vegas won the cup with Adin Hill in goal, and you can make the case that Thatcher Demko has a much higher pedigree. And with him in net, combined with the way they're scoring right now and putting up points, Quinn Hughes, Brock, but don't forget about Brock Besser. Brock Besser's having hell of a year too. You have him in the mix. So this team, honestly, it's tough to look at their lineup and say that they have many holes, because they don't. And keep in mind too, Elias Lindholm, Elias Pettersson, they're countrymen, right? They're both Swedes. So that naturally they're going to probably have some great chemistry. And this is a deal where too that Lindholm may find a higher gear in terms of his offensive production playing on this high-powered Canucks team too. So that's another way to look at it. You would think that his production is going to increase now that he's in Vancouver. So great deal for the Canucks. And for the Flames, you got to feel like what's going through like Kadri's head right now, and Huberdeau. They get there, they extend long term, and now they're going to start to see like the exodus there. And honestly, I feel as though Calgary's probably stuck with those contracts. I mean, especially Jonathan Huberdeau's, because no one's touching that. No one's touching that contract. And
I think you could move Kadri. I think with retention, you can move Kadri. But
I think so.
Yeah, and I think teams will want to get a guy like Kadri because he's a winner, and he plays a physical game and plays a two-way game, and he's an agitator. So he's definitely somebody a lot of teams with retention will trade for. But what I love about this deal most for Vancouver is the fact that Lindholm can play basically any one of the three forward positions.
Yeah.
He more so plays center and right than he does left. But I mean, if they wanted to, they could put him as number 2 center, and then they can move maybe somebody like JT Miller to a wing. And if they don't want to do that and they want to stack their depth down the middle, then they could go 1, 2, 3 and then have 3 really good centers. But they did not give up anything else off that roster other than Kuzmenko, who wasn't a fit, wasn't having a good season, and didn't play the type of hockey that they wanted to play. So they add a guy that plays the type of hockey that they want to play, and it also gives them roster flexibility at 2 different positions, possibly even in the third. This is This is a real winner of a deal. I mean, Patrick Allvin has got to be up for GM of the year right now for them.
Yep.
Yeah,
I think so.
absolutely. And you know something? First off, by the way, thank you to the 80 of you guys watching us right now as we're breaking the news on the Elias Lindholm trade. Feel free to check out our channel and also our weekly show as we go around the NHL every single week. But this was, are you guys a little bit surprised that Lindholm went now and not 5 weeks from now? I know you guys, we alluded to it before about gamesmanship. Vancouver didn't want to get into that, but they might have been able to fetch a better offer, you'd think, getting the Bruins and Colorado in, or they just look up and go, we're not going to get any better than this. What do you think, Anthony?
Well, you got to remember, Mark, the Bruins don't have a first round draft pick this year. They I mean, it's a conditional pick. They could technically keep it and then send their 2025 pick instead. But not, I mean, nonetheless, it's the same thing. They didn't really have a first round pick to give. So I think with them, the only way they were going to get Lindholm is if they were to trade a guy like Lysell, which I don't think they have any interest in doing.
No.
So, and then the Avalanche, yeah, I'm sure
Maybe
the
Matthew
Avalanche.
Contras.
I'm sure yes, him too. I'm sure the Avalanche had interest in Lindholm too, but if you look at the Avalanche, same thing. I mean, they don't have the deepest prospect pool either. I know I mentioned Kovalenko actually in our most recent Who Says No, who's putting up some pretty good numbers in the KHL. But it comes down to too. You can't forget is there are some NHL scouts that just happen to like certain players. For all we know, they were high on Brustowicz, so that and he was an integral part of the deal. So it's little nuances like that we don't know about in particular. So it's hard to say like, oh, could they have gotten a better deal elsewhere? And then also through the timing of it too. You gotta remember, closer to the trade deadline, we always see the games played of, a player gets held out for asset management, and what happens if Lindholm would have gotten hurt, then a deal is, kind of maybe off the table. So look, they got a deal that came across their desk that they liked right now, and they saw no reason to play games or put it up against another team's offer. So certainly, again, surprised that it was the Canucks essentially, but I'm not surprised that it happened now, as opposed to that we saw a big trade last year at the deadline.
Well, it's funny because Vancouver literally pulled the old Jim Rutherford early bird special, and Jim Rutherford was the former Canucks general manager.
Jamie just said right there. Yeah. You thinking the same thing. No, you're absolutely right. And I'm wondering if this can start a little bit of a domino effect. Teams that were maybe in Elias Lindholm may have more of a sense of urgency now to maybe go to their backup plan, and let's say Adam Henrique, because now Wems, if another team that happen to like Henrique sees that and they're like, oh, maybe we should try to scoop him up now, and then things start to look a little bare in terms of the center ice availability coming
on. So right away the New York Rangers got to get in there.
Yeah,
it certainly could make a domino effect here.
Yeah, but maybe this forces the New York Rangers to really go look at someone like Adam Henrique, or maybe contrary to the reports, maybe the Rangers go talk to Jeff Gorton. About Sean Monahan.
There was a name that was kind of thrown out on NHL Network today, guys, or yesterday. It might be a bit of a long shot that he might be available, but maybe Ottawa might talk to Claude Giroux to see whether or not he wants to go elsewhere.
Yeah, I mean, Claude Giroux would be an interesting one.
Full no move clause.
But I don't agree with this comment right here. Rutherford comes along. Rutherford's not there anymore. It's Allvin. And Allvin made a great deal, in my opinion. A great deal for his team. He didn't give up anything of significance other than really Kuzmenko. And Kuzmenko didn't have a future there because he just wasn't fitting in with what the new coaching staff wanted to do, the way they wanted to play. And not only that, but you clear cap space to sign Pettersson that way too. Honestly, if he would have tried to move Kuzmenko in the offseason, he probably would have had to take a pennies on the dollar type return to move him to clear out all the salary, because he wouldn't want to retain on that deal, not even for that year. So great deal by Alvin. I don't know how any Canucks fan can hate this deal. Are the
Listen,
yeah? I would say they are.
Yeah, I would say so too. I mean, certainly in the West, I would put them right up there with Vegas right now for my money for sure.
I would have had them up there anyway.
Yeah, like I said, the team can score in bunches. They got a good goalie. Their defense is solid, and it certainly might be getting a boost too with Chris Danev. We'll see how that develops over the next 5 weeks, or maybe even a lot sooner. So you know what I think though, for my money right now, I would say Vancouver. If they played Vegas in the conference final, I think I would take Vancouver. I mean, I would. I know Vegas has been there before. Obviously, they just won a cup, but right now, I think the Canucks are they're too high powered. They really are. And I know playoff hockey is different. Scoring's usually down. You have to really fight for your space. So, yeah, I'm going to stick with that. I would say the Canucks can take out Vegas right now.
I think they could
those
too.
words were hard to get out of your mouth.
Yeah, because I was really struggling with giving Vegas their due. They're defending Cup champs. They play a stingy brand of hockey. They still got a lot of firepower themselves, but like I said, it really was hard to decide. But
they're going to get everybody back healthy by the time the playoffs come around. I know Riley Smith is no longer there, but like they're going to get their guys back, and they're going to probably make a move themselves, and they're going to be fine.
Right now, though, would you say
it's a rental? And maybe thing is, even if that's true, the two prospects they traded, it's not like it was Wallinger that they moved. They still have their best prospects. I don't see the issue. And honestly, in this league, you got to give to get. The Canucks window is wide open right now. So why not literally just put your foot through that window and do what you have to do to try to win a Stanley Cup, because they're on the precipice. I don't see how this is a bad deal.
Name a Stanley Cup champion in the last few years that did it without a rental.
I don't agree with any of those comments coming from that person. I really don't. I think that it's.
By the way, thank you for the comments, though.
Thank you for the comments, but I just don't agree with them. I don't think Alvin is a puppet. None of these moves smell like any Rutherford moves that have been made, other than the fact that they were done earlier in the season before the trade deadline. I just don't see it. I'm sorry.
By the way, I had to double check. Didn't Alvin just sign an extension?
Yeah, Alvin just signed an extension.
Yeah, Alvin.
Rutherford may be the president, but he's not the general manager anymore. There's a difference. You think this is a Glenn Sather, Chris Drury situation where people making the jokes about Glenn Sather still being in charge? No, I don't see it. Sorry, I don't.
This is a hot take for sure. The Canucks should trade Pettersson. Guy is too greedy. I don't
think I let Elias Pettersson go at all.
Yeah.
By the way, guys, right now we're at 93 people, so make sure you're hitting that like button for us.
Okay.
That yet again.
By the way, quick note: Alex Turcotte scored his first career NHL goal. Long time coming for a guy who was picked 5th overall. Who's starting to look like a bust. So good for him, and good for the Kings.
Yeah, good for Turcotte. It's been a while getting there.
Yeah, I was about to say I hope to God that that guy is being sarcastic, because that comment made no sense otherwise. So it's got to be a troll post.
I mean, maybe everyone has
them right now.
Everyone has different opinions, So I mean, I think that would be.
God, Anthony, this may not be a troll post, knowing this person and some of the things I've seen.
Yeah, Alan. Yeah.
Alan, I'm sorry, but I hope to God you're being sarcastic here, my man.
You're not. I mean, yes, you're right. They could get a haul if they traded Brock Nelson, but they're 4 points behind Philly for 3rd in the Metro. You just re-sign these guys like Horvat, Barzal, Sorokin, win now. Maybe
now you're 6 points behind Detroit. Overtime is just starting.
Yeah. So maybe in the offseason, if things went really bad the rest of this year, but other than that, I doubt that's going to happen.
Yeah, everyone
yeah,
knew Kuzmenko
I
was
was
going to
saying
be traded. I
everyone.
would agree with that.
we'd agree with that too. Just a matter of where.
He's been on the block for quite some time. So I'm not surprised by that.
Yeah, but Jay,
Matt, yeah, no, thank you.
Good try.
Yeah,
Jay Pedersen
yeah.
wants out of Vancouver. He also
Maybe
said if he sees progress, he's going to sign a long-term deal.
Yeah, Jay, are you? I don't know if he's behind the times or not, but that was a comment that was made at basically the start of the season,
Yeah,
and it was basically contingent on the fact that if he saw success or not, and Vancouver's the best team in the league right now, so I don't think he wants to go anywhere.
we said before we love the deal for both sides so far.
Yeah,
And it's
yeah,
it's right there.
it's a good deal for both sides for
yeah.
sure.
I think both teams, as I said before, Calgary got a player that they could keep or flip that's proven that he could produce at the NHL level that needed a change of scenery. And then, they got a B level prospect, probably like a C or D level prospect, a first round pick and a fourth round pick. So I love that for Calgary. And then the flexibility that they got in Lindholm in Vancouver and the style of play that he plays with is really, really good. So I really like the deal for both sides. I like the question from Bailey Rogers here. What's the Rangers equivalent that they would have had to have given up? That's actually a real good question. So, Detroit just lost in overtime, so it's only still 6 points, Anthony. So I figured you would give you an update on that. I would say that they would have had to have given up something like Kako, first-round pick, and then one of their middling type prospects, maybe like a Matthew Robertson or something like that, and a fourth. That's really what they would have wanted to, or probably would have had to give up something along those lines. Never said Pedersen is signing in Vancouver. Why? Because I just said that he made the comments earlier on in the season on the contingency that there was improvement in Vancouver. So
he wanted to see how the Canucks, how this year played out before he committed long term. I'm sure now he will. I really wouldn't worry about it. I think he will re-sign with them. And also too, it's in the middle of the season right now. The team is a Stanley Cup contender. I'm sure he doesn't want anything to be a distraction. He just wants to go out and focus on getting the Canucks to the promised land here. But like I said, I would be really surprised if Pedersen did not re-sign with the Vancouver Canucks. I truly would. I would be truly surprised if he didn't.
I don't think they would have had to have given up Berard in that deal. I think Kako, Robertson, a first and a fourth would have been enough. But yeah, I don't. I think with Kako's younger age, team control, and cheaper salary, I think this would have been. An easier deal, and you wouldn't have even had to have included Berard with that.
As it's Shane Pinto, the Long Island product, Franklin Square, gets the goal in overtime, and good for him. Yeah, after everything he went through with the suspension, it's good to see him, get in the lineup and produce for Ottawa. But Darren, this is a good point.
According to Friedman, he's saying Pedersen upped his rate to $15 million a year.
I didn't see that. I would have to look that up because I didn't.
Yeah. I didn't see that either. I haven't seen that unless he said it in a video that wasn't necessarily on a Twitter timeline. But I mean, 15 million. I mean, that would be. And I understand how the NHL goes right now. When the next man up comes due for their contract, he'll go higher, even though he's not better.
I haven't heard anything about this either. Yeah. I would be shocked if Pedersen doesn't re-sign, and if there was this much. If there was this much tension, I don't think this team would be performing as well as it does right now.
The max you can get is 8, right?
The max you can get is 8. I think this is
I
just
think he's
somebody
just
making up and being a troll.
Well, it's all right. Well,
yeah.
we answered the
Thank you for
questions.
the
By the
engagement.
way, right now, 96 people in the chat.
BL says
97.
Pedersen doesn't like JT Miller, calls him a hothead.
Yeah,
Again,
I
that would
think
be news to
made
me.
up comments.
But I mean, I have heard stuff about JT Miller and not being the best teammate. So I have heard that before. But I don't know. I would still be surprised if Elias Pettersson didn't sign long term in Vancouver.
Yeah,
Andrew
I
saying
think this is just troll
Too
posting
much
now.
for a rental. Calgary won the deal. You could look at it. I mean, Calgary got, for a guy that was leaving, which they knew, they got a first round pick, a fourth round pick, 2 prospects, and a guy in Andrei Kuzmenko who's proven that he could score at the NHL level. So yeah, I mean, Calgary certainly did really well, but Vancouver did too. So this is one of those things where I think it's a win-win. And again, I don't think it's too much though, because the Canucks kept their best prospects. So it really all depends how you want to look at it. Sure, they lost 2 assets, but they keep your best prospects and you get the best player in the deal. To me, that's a win.
I think some of these comments are troll comments now because it's just they're getting wackier and wackier, and I think.
Well, yeah, but or it might just be with a little bit of the paranoia that's going on, because when you have your biggest star unsigned, you hear a lot of things, and I there's no way he can go to Vegas. There's no way they can fit him under the cap.
Yeah, that's yeah.
No,
I think
that's yeah. Even with the cap going up for $4 million, Vegas would have to move heaven and earth to do that. Like Jonathan Marchessault and guys like William Karlsson would probably have to move to make room for Elias Pettersson. And so
everybody
yes,
there on IR.
Not impossible, but yeah, absolutely. The Canucks are all in. For
Canucks
sure.
are all in.
Yeah. That's absolutely true, and they should be. I mean, if I'm them, I'm not stopping here. I'm going and getting Tanev. I'm bringing Tanev home. I'm going in and I'm doing everything that I can, especially with this NHL being as wide open as it is. Vegas doesn't look like a dominant team. They've had their issues. They've had their troubles. You can see that losing someone like Riley Smith has kind of hurt them at times. I feel like if you feel that you have the conviction in your team and you feel that you can make moves to get yourself to the top of the mountain, this is a year to do it, because nobody's really stuck out as dominant. Vancouver's been the best team, but nobody's really stuck out in previous years where you can say to yourself, oh, wow, I'm really, really, really scared of that team or something like that. I think every team should have the mentality where if they think that they're close, they should go and they should, make the move that they need to make.
Well, yeah, this is the team that I thought we were going to get last year under Bruce Boudreau, because that's where their trajectory was heading before the season ended 2 years ago. And now you're getting it. And now you look at this roster, and this roster is starting to look, if they get 10, that's the best decor in the NHL, bar none. And
this Canucks fan, John, which thanks for viewing our stream. He thinks he's not a fan of the trade. And look, what I'll say to this is I feel like hockey fans, there's a couple of different viewpoints. You have the fans who want to like hoard prospects, and it's all about building with youth and not trading for rentals, etc. And then you have the side that is always kind of go all in. I want a Stanley Cup. So I can respect the fans that don't like this trade. And again, if you lie on the fence of build with from within, and you don't like trading assets for rentals, then sure. But again, at the end of the day, you want a Stanley Cup, right? That's the main goal. I think fans of the same team can agree on. You want a Stanley Cup. So if this gets the Canucks a Stanley Cup and Lindholm doesn't re-sign with the Canucks, it's still a win in my opinion. But I mean
even if it gets you to a Stanley Cup Finals,
yeah. No,
like look at the competition right now. everybody in the West is vulnerable.
Yeah. Yep.
That's what I was literally just saying. It's wide open. It's
He's
really
right.
wide open. And I agree with Darren here. I think there's definitely more moves coming from them. And I think we'll probably see them sooner than later. I honestly think Tanev probably gets traded to them sometime within the week or so. Because it sounded like
just saying if they took Hunter off. See, the thing of this is we don't know. I mean, maybe as I said earlier, this could have been a guy that the Flames were really high on, and he was contingent on the deal. Him being in the deal was contingent on it. So, get what you're saying, but I think for you got to be happy that again, Willander is still Canucks property. One of your best prospects.
He's still there.
Yeah,
He's
exactly.
not moved.
So, you just kind of run and go with it and hope your team wins the Stanley Cup. And it's
right now checking to see if anything is on Tanev. Keep going.
As far as Tanev goes, you look at the Canucks cap friendly. They have 8 defensemen on the roster, but if they traded for Tanev, that would realistically leave Ian Cole, Mark Friedman, and Noah Juleson as the extras. That's pretty good defensive depth for that team.
I think one of those guys would be moved, probably.
Hronek, Zadorov, Soucy, and then you would have Tanev. So that would be a pretty good defensive depth if the Canucks can land Tanev. Unless, of course,
and I get this comment right here too. I mean, if it's a rental, you have trepidations about it. But this is a year that you go all in, and especially with this team being as good as it is. This is a message from management saying that that we believe in this team. We believe in what this team has. It has what it takes to win it all. So they're making their moves, and I like this move for them.
Yeah, no, I like I said, I do too. I mean, we stated enough now. I also like it for the Flames. I think this is one of those deals where it's a win for both sides. Similar to last year's trade between the Islanders and the Canucks. The Canucks got a first round pick that they ended up flipping to get Philip Hronek. Ratu, obviously, he's still in the minors. And the Islanders got the man they needed. So in deals like that, it's a win-win. And I think this was a similar deal today that we saw. So again, curious to see if the Canucks can get Tanev over the finish line. I do hear they have a lot of competition though. New Jersey is hard after Chris Tanev. The Toronto Maple Leafs are hard after Chris Tanev. So they're gonna have some competition there. And what Tanev returns, I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't give up a first round pick for Tanev, that's for sure. No. But I could certainly see him getting a second round pick and a B or C prospect.
Yeah.
Right now we got 140 of you guys are in the chat.
Yeah, only about 140. This is, I think, the most I think we've seen on.
Well, in recent trade breaking, I mean, we had the Patrick Kane who was up to about 220 last year.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
Johnny Gaudreau. Johnny Gaudreau was over 300.
That was 350.
Oh, that was 350.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, it was like 350. Yeah. We had a couple of really big ones.
So Keelan's saying Gensel up next. Possible, yeah. It's certainly possible.
Yeah, that could be a good one.
I don't know. Wonder, Pittsburgh is right now. They still got this idea that they're going to make the playoffs.
THG has been asking this one. Do we think Chillington can get moved? Possibly. I think Calgary would rather hold on to him. That's just my opinion.
All right.
I had involving Gensel. I'm curious to see because I had heard rumors that Gensel and was talked about with Vancouver, and it was Kuzmenko would have been the return. I wonder if they couldn't agree to that deal, so they pivoted to Lindholm. Certainly possible there. Which, I mean, Gensel would have been an incredible coup too, because totally different players. Gensel more of a pure finisher, pure goal scorer, but
not only that, but there's history with Rutherford and Pittsburgh. So I mean, he was a general manager in Pittsburgh, obviously as well. So they have a nice little relationship from previous from previous deals.
But
And
that's what I was just saying. Lowe saying, what would have been a better deal, Lindholm or Gensel? I mean, again, totally different players. I mean, I feel like if you were strictly going for just the goal scoring aspect of it, Gensel would have been the better option. This is a guy that I know Lindholm scored 42, but I feel like Gensel can do it a little bit more regularly. So
yeah,
I mean, I would lean towards Gensel, but I mean, you didn't go wrong with getting Lindholm, though. That's for sure.
not only that, but Gensel's a playoff performer too.
Yes.
I mean, that's a guy that's proven from a very young age that he could score in the playoffs. So I mean, in his first year in the playoffs in 2017, and it's actually it's also his rookie year in the NHL. 13 goals in 25 games to lead all playoff scorers. Do you know how many of those goals came at even strength?
No,
Almost all of them.
11.
Yeah.
11 of 13 goals at even strength in the playoffs.
Lucas is joking right here. Demko, Markstrom, combo. But that would be definitely a lot if there.
Roland saying late to the show, where would you slot in Lindholm?
I'd put him in third line center.
Earlier. Yeah, he could. You could put him at center. You could move him to the wing. They have so many different options at Lindholm because he's such a versatile player. I wouldn't be surprised if he plays with Pettersson though. I really wouldn't.
No, I wouldn't be surprised either. I really wouldn't. I think that that's why I said before he could play all three forward positions. Mainly plays center and right, but you can put him anywhere. He's a Swiss Army knife. This guy, he really is. He is the definition of a hockey Swiss Army knife. And
just like Elias Anderson.
Don't even shut up. So,
chicken to the sea.
Yeah,
Canadian watch saying Lindholm who?
Maybe it's a Flames fan.
Yeah, it's going to be a good thing. I like the logo though, by the way, right there, Canadian Watch Monkey.
That's a pretty cool logo. I do like that. Mike C saying Mikheyev for Greenway. I'm guessing that's a trade that he wants. So that would be.
I heard.
I don't know. I wouldn't get rid of Mikheyev. Mikheyev's played great for them. I don't understand that.
I wouldn't. All-star draft going to go crazy. Yeah, this is the second year in a row where a player who was going to the All-Star game has been traded.
Yeah,
like right before.
Oh wow, yeah.
Last year with Horvat.
Yeah.
Wicked was just asking, who do you think? Where was it? Who do you think will be the biggest surprise player traded at the deadline?
Surprise player?
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know who, but I will say this. I think if Capo Caco is dealt by the New York Rangers, I think it's going to be for said surprise player because it's going to be somebody with term that people don't expect to be dealt.
Yeah.
I do think that. I do think if the Rangers end up dealing him, they're dealing him for an established player that's a little older, a little more experienced, it's a little more productive, that's in his prime years still, but has a bit of term left. So I think that surprise player ends up being a player that Capo Caco is dealt for. I don't know who that's going to be, though. If he's dealt. Just clarify that.
Just going to go for about another 5 more minutes, guys.
Let Lorenzo, how good is Lindholm? I have tunnel vision. He's a guy that's going to play both sides of the puck really well. This is, like I said, this is a Selke caliber forward. A couple of years ago, scored 40 goals. Having obviously a down year this year in terms of production, but he's a guy that can play in all situations, can play really any forward position. He's a hell of a player, and I think if you just quickly look at his stats on Hockey DB, I mean, you're probably not going to be impressed, but something tells me playing in this run and gun Vancouver system, that the numbers are going to skyrocket.
2 seasons ago, when Johnny Gaudreau and Matthew Tkachuk both broke 100 points, Lindholm was the center on that line, and he had 82 that year. So that's something.
That, you know what? if Eriksson Ek was the player that was coming back, I would be okay with the Rangers trading him, Capo Caco, and whatever else it needs.
That would be
to do
immense.
that would be a deal that I think the Rangers would look at. I think they would be more than okay with doing that. And he's signed long term too. The only problem is how are they would probably have to move Barclay Goodrow. I mean, he makes 5.25 against the cap. So the Rangers would probably have to move Barclay Goodrow either in that trade or in the offseason as well, or in the offseason, something like that. So
Monahan getting traded wouldn't be a surprise at all. He's like up there on the trade board as one of the main guys out there. So
yeah,
Monahan certainly won't be a surprise when he's dealt. And I'm assuming that
Monahan's not really surprised, Davey. Sorry.
Yeah.
Joel Eriksson Ek, 5.25, and he's signed to the end of the 28-29 season.
Yeah, he's got another another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years left after this. Yeah, and he has a 10-team modified no trade clause. So 10 teams he would be willing to not be traded to.
Yeah, my surprise player to be traded. I'm going to say Tomas Hertl.
Thank you, Jamie. Appreciate that.
Thank you very much. I think the Sharks are clearly going in a total rebuild, and I think if they approach, even though he just signed, I think if they approached him about leaving, I think he would agree to leave. So
I just don't know if you're going to get value on a trade like that. I mean, what are you going to possibly get from a contender?
I think Minnesota might deal Ryan Hartman.
Why wouldn't they get? Why wouldn't you? What are you talking about? Hertl would return. He's a good hockey player. Why wouldn't?
Right, but I mean, what is Boston going to give you? Boston can't really give you anything. I mean, granted, there's more than just the contending teams if you're trading Tomas Hertl, because you could send him somewhere to a building organization. It's
under contract long term. I wonder how many teams would actually have the ability to fit him in somehow, though. I mean, I don't think the Rangers would Boston maybe, but what would they have to get him? That's my concern, because he makes 8.1375 against the cap, just over 8. So it's I don't see how a team would be able to basically take on that type of cap in mid-season. That seems like
it'd be tough. Yeah.
Move.
Well, that's why I said surprise. I wasn't going to try to say a player that's being rumored.
Yeah, I can't see that actually happening. I don't know who would be a real surprise. I definitely think Ryan Hartman might be moved. I think that's a name that nobody's talking about. Minnesota could move him. And he's the type of player that plays the type of game that you want come playoff time.
Yes, he does.
He's an agitator. He can chip in offensively, even though he's not having a great year. He's got 1 year left on this deal, and then he's got another 3 years because he signed a 3-year extension worth $12 million. Yeah. So it's $4 million against the cap. But I wonder if they could just be like, hey, you know what? We gave you that extension. We thought we were going to be a better team, and then we could end up, dealing them. So. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's an interesting comment.
So this isn't happening. Tavares, the Leafs are going to try to obviously win a cup again. He's got 1 year left. He's their captain. The only split that will happen between the Maple Leafs and Tavares, I think, at this point, is when his contract expires at the end of next year, that they opt not to re-sign him. I don't see him. Because even if the Canucks, let's say the Canucks, even if the Maple Leafs bowed out in the first round. A buyout, his contract's buyout proof. The 1 year, they don't save any money at all on a Tavares buyout. And then to trade his last year of his contract in the offseason, I mean, they could, but again, I think at this point he's going to be a Leaf until his contract expires.
Darren Collins actually asked another good one. How about Jordan Greenway? I could see Greenway. I mean, he's got 1 year left at $3 million after this year, so it is possible.
But just getting him as a bottom six forward, right?
Yeah, you're really getting him as a middle six forward. You're not at this point. I think he is what he is. I mean, he's 26 years old. Barring some sort of Todd Bertuzzi like developmental spike in his game, I don't think that he's going to have the type of career where he kind of lived up to the prospect hype that he had when he was younger. But I still think he's a very useful middle six winger with size and jam and can give you some scoring ability. Thank you, Alba Lanker. We appreciate that. One of our OG viewers, very, very long time viewer. But I do like Greenway, and I think that teams will definitely call Minnesota about Greenway. They definitely will do that. So
yeah, I think he's a guy that will certainly be moved.
I wonder if the Rangers would inquire about him. Maybe he's a guy they move Capo for. Not exactly a needle mover, but a guy who plays with a little more jam and plays more the type of game that they want to play. I don't know if I would necessarily be happy, but he sort of fits the profile of what they would be looking for. I just don't think the potential is all there with Greenway. I think it's almost like a change of scenery type thing. What? I'm not sure about
that. I think he was doing a proposed trade.
Jake Beans.
Yeah, I don't know where you're getting Trocheck from though, because Trocheck plays on the Rangers now.
Yeah.
And Jake Beans in Columbus.
Yeah. There's
a
little bit too much moving parts on that one.
Confused on that one.
Yeah, I'm not sure of what's going on there.
Chris Tanev and Noah Hannafin.
Oh yeah, Greenway's on Sabres. I'm talking about Greenway on Minnesota. He's on Sabres now. I totally forgot about that ball. You know what? It's funny. I said Sabres and then I started talking about Minnesota.
Yeah, I have stats right here. 6 goals, 8 assists.
No cursing and good thoughts.
Thank you. We appreciate that. We don't have cursing, but we do have a walking gaff in the top left corner. And if you watch us more, you'll understand what I mean by Marc.
Today's thing was all about the chicken of the sea. I didn't know it was a brand.
Around and everybody, Deron, who's viewing us for the first time, we do a show every Wednesday, so hopefully you can be lifers now. But Marc here, we always get good laughs. He always is, mispronouncing players' names and typos, and it's makes for good entertaining viewing. So hopefully you guys stick around and you learn that Marc is such walking gaff. So
I try to get more help on that.
See what I'm talking about.
Marc down in small apple.
Mini apple hockey.
Yeah, mini if he gets real bad with them. No, but no, John Radigan. I don't think. I don't know if this would be a straight up deal. I don't. Again, I'm just throwing a profile out there of what I think the Rangers would want for Kakko. But I think the ceiling is kind of low on Greenway. So I don't think it would be him, but they would want somebody in that age who's a little more proven. So I don't necessarily think it would be Greenway, but I just wonder if they would look at it and they would contact Buffalo about Greenway.
As Lefty's saying right here, their weakest defenseman is Zadorov. Other than that, they're in great shape, and I gotta agree with that one.
Pretty good. Yeah, if Zadorov is the weakest link, I would say that's pretty good.
They have good defensive depth. They have good goaltending, and then they have a great forward group. Oof.
All right, guys, I'm
curious to see, how soon Tanev does get traded, because it made it seem like, that they've had deep discussions about Tanev. So it's something that could happen, pretty quickly, I would think.
Yeah.
Yeah, so far, still nothing on Twitter about him. So I do not think it's
Carol Bovenlander. She asked this question before of us, and then now she's asking Lefty. I guess I don't know. So that's one or the other. commenters. But I mean, I think it's great for both sides. We kind of went over that before. Canucks got their guy, and then Calgary got they got, I would say, a B-level prospect, a C or D-level prospect, first-round pick, and then a guy that they can do whatever they want with, whether they want to keep him or whether they want to flip him to Kuzmenko, who could contribute to the team right now. And then you got first-round and fourth-round picks. So I do think that both teams made out pretty well. If you want to say Calgary won the deal, okay, that's fine. But Vancouver got the best player in the deal, hands down.
Yeah, and the guy that they're looking for and they wanted. So
yeah,
we gotta fill out our.
The top 2 picks.
We got, now that Lindholm's off the board, and this might start the silly season. We should probably fill out our picks of predictions that we have in our notes of the players on the boards before it's too late. So, with that said, my guess is Adam Henrique is a New York Ranger. I feel
a lot of people are feeling that too.
I feel it.
Because the Rangers have to bring back players that the fans were crushed by. It's just the Rangers MO.
Oh yeah. The famous 2012 call by Doc. Yeah.
But guys, I'm actually going to sign off right here. You guys can keep on going for a little bit more. I got to run. But we did a lot of work today, especially you, Anthony. 7 hours of hockey talk. That's pretty good. I mean, where does Monahan land now?
You got to, Anthony, you got to ask Mr. Williams for overtime on this.
Yeah, three streamer. Listen, that's what late breaking trades will do. But I was happy to do it. So, and we up there, we had over at one point 140 viewers. So, even still going at 91 right now. But yeah, I think it's definitely met my quota for hockey discussions for the night. That's for sure.
Yeah, and we definitely circled the wagons. Elias Lindholm was our lead for the Bar Talk segment, and now he's gone.
Yeah, that's crazy that we were talking about him getting moved, and then all of a sudden he's moved. Insane.
So. Right now, the Vancouver Canucks are a plus 650 to win the division on to win the Western Conference on DraftKings. I don't have a Stanley Cup odd yet. Looking for that. So, all right, Philk, I'm gonna sign off right there.
I'm gonna head out too because I think Anthony's done. So I'm gonna head out too. But it's a good stream. We had almost 150 people on with us. That's pretty awesome. So
great hearing from all you in Western Canada too.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely, like we said before, join us Wednesdays. We're on at 5:30 Eastern time, so that's 2:30 Western. Yeah, 2:30 Western on the West Coast. So if any of you are around in the midday time, we're on 5:30. But catch us live on here. Then if not, you can always catch our videos on here on YouTube, and then comment in the videos, and just remember, like, share, and subscribe. Let's have this Big Apple Hockey virus grow.
That's the way we do it. So again, everybody, Western Canada, thank you very much. Great day for you. We'll see more about it starting next week. This could be the start.
Yeah.
Yes. Don't forget the upvote, or I got the bubble that should go up right there. It goes. All right. And guys, thank you very much. Make sure you leave us a like, and we will talk to you soon.